You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, MSSU and Joplin Chamber of Commerce host Dress to Impress.
We get another day of above average temperatures. As a matter of fact, let's just call it warm. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Chef Anthony Fisher steps back into Studio K and begins to make mussels pasta. Can't wait for that. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Missouri lawmakers are taking action targeted at Russia as that country continues its war with Ukraine. Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe and House Majority Floor Leader Dean Plotcher announced legislation that would prohibit dealings with Russia or Russian businesses. The bill would also encourage Missouri retailers to replace Russian-made or Russian-branded products with products made in Missouri and in the USA.
I think it's just more of a demonstration that what Vladimir Putin and his ideas of what he's doing with his Russian military do not match Missouri's ideas. They do not match the American way of freedom and liberty and giving these people a chance as they were living in peace and being productive citizens in Ukraine. That's what our values match their values. And these are all just demonstrations, as Dean said, Representative Plotcher said, Governor lighting the dome. All of these steps are symbols to show that Missouri stands with Ukraine.
Missouri Southern and the Joplin Chamber want to make sure graduating students look their best before entering the working world. So on Wednesday, they hosted Dress to Impress, a chance for those students to pick up new clothing that they could wear for job interviews and when they eventually land a job.
Donations were awesome this year. We always get a plethora of donations from the community. We can always use more guy clothes, so all those guys out there, please, next year, clean out those closets.
Volunteers tell us about 100 students came through in the first hour of the event. Yesterday was Ash Wednesday, a Christian holiday marking the beginning of Lent. Christians everywhere celebrate the occasion by having clergy mark a cross on their forehead in ash, usually during a church service. But not everyone has time to attend Mass, so St. John's Episcopal Church in Parsons, Kansas decided to offer ashes to go. All you had to do was drive up, receive your blessing, and go on your way.
Our motivation for being out here today is to reach the community, to let the people in the community know that it is Ash Wednesday, the importance of the day.
According to Christian faith, the ashes symbolize death and repentance because they believe Christ died for them. Gotta catch them all. Yeah, I had to say that. Now one collector has just caught a rare Pokemon card for a record-breaking price. A rare Pikachu Illustrator card just sold on auction for $900,000. The 1998 card features the iconic yellow Pokemon character holding what appears to be paintbrushes. This particular card is reportedly one of just 23 graded by professional sports authenticators. ND one of 2 rated a 7 out of 10 for quality. Okay. The collector's item sold for its record high price from Golden Auction Site after 34 bids.
What did it sell for? $900,000, Ron says?
$900,000.
What did that Jackie Robinson ticket stub go for?
I would hope more than that.
No, I don't think it did.
It didn't?
I want to say it was like, was that 48,000 somewhere? 900,000. My goodness.
Makes me wonder. We had a lot of Pokemon cards that went up in our house fire.
Sometimes
worth that.
Sometimes I call it COVID time, and sometimes I think it's just a matter of me getting old and losing, and I mean that seriously, and losing track of time and whatnot. How long was it ago that the people were doing the Pokemon on their phones? And obviously you can tell how entrenched I was.
They still are. They still are.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Because I remember it very popular. I remember we did a number of stories on it when it came out and about the popularity and people getting hurt doing it because they weren't paying attention. Okay. That being said, I forgive my ignorance, folks. I really don't know anything about that card. I don't. Now, if that were an 84 Jordan Fleer, I'll be all up in that action. Did you collect any? What did you collect? 'Cause I collected baseball cards.
I have some baseball cards from the early 90s.
Do you?
Still in their case.
You need to bring them in so we can trade appropriately. So I can build upon my Cincinnati Reds collection.
I might have a few Reds.
Yes, yes. You may have a Billy Hatcher in the back of one of those packs right there. And everybody at home right now, and even Ron is going, who in the world is Billy Hatcher?
I had one of those books and I had like...
Ron, he had 7 consecutive hits to begin the 1990 World Series. There you go. All right, if it weren't for Billy Hatcher, may not have had a world championship. 36-hour weather trend that lifted us up. It was our warmest day yesterday of 2022. As a matter of fact, you have to go back to November. Last time that we actually had a temperature that high. Almost have to adjust the graph here as we go, kind of drop that down. So used to having the teens coming off of what we had the middle of 2 weeks ago. Glow cloud coming out of the east right there. The wind beginning to pick up just a little bit. Wind is going to play a very key factor for us today because it actually won't be as blustery as what we've had the past couple of days. But you'll notice it's just shifting about here, there, and everywhere. And so while we've got southwest for half of the 4 states, northeast for half of the 4 states, eventually this thing's all going to shift and work out from east to west here later this afternoon. But what that will do is also reduce our fire risk. No elevated fire risk for today. Everybody be careful. If you have any brush to burn, please do. But another delightful afternoon, up around 75 degrees. Cruise the 70s into Saturday. Scattered rain Saturday night into Sunday. A little bit of a cold front. Cooler temps next week. Take every advantage that you can, really, for the next 3 days to get outside and enjoy some fresh air. Coming up next, Chef Anthony. He's in Studio K. He's making Mussels pasta. And later, more tips on how to talk to your kids about the war in Ukraine. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
All right, we are going to be making some Mussels pasta with Chef Anthony Fisher this morning. You know, we're in the Lenten season, so we're looking for new recipes that we can use on Fridays.
Exactly. We're going to start doing a lot with fish. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to do some really outrageous stuff. So we have butter melting in our pan. We're going to go ahead and throw some onion, jalapenos, serranos, our sweet peppers from this morning.
Okay.
Some garlic, of course. Gotta love the garlic. I don't go anywhere without garlic. Crushed red pepper flakes, because we want that nice, beautiful heat that dances around in your mouth.
Of course, this is seasoned to your own preference.
Oh, yes. And then some coarse ground black pepper. We want to use the coarse ground. We don't want to use table pepper because the table pepper will overpower everything.
Okay.
So we're going to let this kind of simmer a little bit and just get all married together and beautiful in colors. And I have some of the Thai basil from this morning. All I've done is pulled it off the stem and I'm going to roll it up.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do what we call a chiffonade, which is just cut it into beautiful, fine little ribbons.
Carefully without cutting your fingers. How often does that actually happen in your classroom where you deal with?
4 cuts in 3 years.
Wow.
None of them major. All of them were
That's
minor
good.
cuts.
Because it's inevitably going to happen.
It
at
is.
some point, you know.
It's not a
Happens to
matter.
everybody.
It's never a matter of if you're going to cut yourself. It's how bad.
Yeah.
And I keep my knives razor sharp, so of course it makes it easier for the nursing staff to close up the wound if it does happen. But to this day, nothing major. So I'm very, very happy with my students. They pay attention really well. Now, 3 bay leaves inside, and we're just going to give this a little jiggle around. We're just letting the oils and stuff from the peppers get out into the butter. There we go. Doesn't that look gorgeous? It smells so wonderful. Now I have a lemon.
Yes.
And I'm just going to take and squeeze the lemon. I always squeeze it through my hand to make sure that I don't get seeds down into it.
That's a good idea.
And we're just going to let that drain right off in. And now for the best part, the mussels. Now, frozen mussels are just fine to use. Use them because around here you can't see the water. Frozen mussels are a great way to go.
Where can you find mussels at?
Just about any good grocery store. I get these from Simon Market. He has a killer price on them. So I think there's $5 worth of mussels in here.
Oh, wow. That is a good deal.
It is. And I'm adding some Pinot Grigio inside of here. And a lot of people are like, well, chef, what about wine that you're going to cook with? Don't buy that cooking wine. If you wouldn't drink it out of the bottle on your table, then you don't want it.
Really?
So
Okay.
I added my pasta right in on top of everything. I'm turning my fire all the way up so that I get a nice good flame. And I'm going to put my lid over the top of it. We're going to let it sit here and simmer. You can already see the steam and everything coming together. It's going to thaw the mussels. It's going to make sure the mussels are already all the way cooked. The cold pasta inside of it is going to warm up and be beautiful and tangy to eat. And I forgot my plate.
Okay.
So
Well, why don't we go to break and then we come back and recap what we did and
it'll be ready to
check out
go.
the final product.
Perfect.
Sounds like a plan. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've got Chef Anthony Fisher here from Pittsburgh High School Culinary Arts here, and we're cooking with mussels, which is a first for me. I've never cooked. I've ate mussels, but I know very little about them. And how do you know if how do you get a good mussel?
Well, good mussels, if you bring them in fresh, they need to be closed and sealed. But you need to make sure and clean the shells, let them soak in a little bit of salt water that gets any grime, dirt, and all the nastiness out of them.
Okay.
Same thing with oysters. Just be very gentle with them. If you bring them in fresh, they need to arrive within 24 hours.
Okay.
And then you need to store them where they're draining with a little rack underneath them in a pan so they'll catch all their liquids from them. But you need to store them up out of the liquid, generally with some ice.
Okay.
To help keep them cool. So they're real easy to use once you do it. In this area in the Midwest, cooking with frozen is not a problem. It's actually really good because you get a better quality product. Just when you open the bag, take out the ones that are open and get rid of those and go just with the ones that are closed.
That's what you were telling me that I think in a previous segment that the best products are the ones that are, the best crops are the ones they pick first and freeze.
Exactly. That's exactly how it works because you get a much purer, much cleaner, much nicer, beautiful product. And same thing with fish. There was an old adage that was said by one of the gentlemen that I look up to. He said, don't eat fish on Sunday and Monday. Don't go to the restaurant and order fish on Sunday and Monday. That's when the chef gets rid of the junk. But that's not necessarily true. A lot of people, they use an experiment on Sundays and Mondays. So if you go to a restaurant and they're offering some type of a special, as long as it's not covered in sauce, try it. Because that's when they experiment, because they have fewer people, they can try something new, and they're not wasting a whole bunch of product. So it's a great opportunity to do it. Now we have everything coming together in here. As you can see, our mussels are starting to open up. We're going to give it a little toss.
Now the mussels today were provided by Simon Market.
Correct, and they're beautiful mussels. I made this yesterday, with the exception of the wine. I used chicken stock instead of wine when I practiced at school. So, but the students loved it, absolutely loved it. And I forgot, yesterday was Ash Wednesday, and so many of my students are Catholic and they fast. Mm-hmm. So I had some very upset students. But that's okay.
They wouldn't even have this, yeah.
Well,
that's
I
all right.
used
My son came home and he told me he had chicken pizza, so it's like, really? I'm sure there were other options.
Well, we got some of the fresh parsley from this morning. I pulled off the greens. We're going to give it a little chop down so that we can use it for a garnish on top. We want that beautiful green color.
Okay.
I didn't even realize it, but when I practice, of course, schools being alcohol-free zones, I use chicken stock because you can't really tell the difference. If you're like, I don't want to use alcohol, you can use chicken stock.
But it's that smell, and that changes your palate.
It does.
Like, there's a big difference, I think.
There's a huge difference, but not everybody likes alcohol. So you kind of have to tailor it around where your needs are. My mom doesn't drink, but she would eat this if I made this with chicken stock for her.
Okay.
So she loves it. Now I'm going to turn my heat off. As you can see, the steam's coming up. I'm going to pull the lid off right here for you. You can see all that beautiful goodness. Ooh. And that smell is just so wonderful and fabulous.
Michael is sitting over there in the weather center. His mouth is watering.
Well, and also too, I'm listening to Chef Anthony talk about the restaurants and the specials, and I find this fascinating. These are things that I don't think about, and I love it.
This is a great way to go. Now I'm just going to take this, and I have a deep plate here,
yes,
so I can get away with this.
Gather your juices that way.
I'm going to gather my juices, and I'm going to pull out pasta into my plate.
How many servings would you say this is?
This is 2. This is perfect for an intimate dinner.
Ooh.
Or an intimate dinner where you serve off the same plate, or sharing a plate and dining together.
Oh, how romantic.
Look at all that
as
beautiful
you're sucking
goodness.
The mussels out.
Look at all that beautiful goodness. Now the bay leaves are the only thing that goes in here that you really don't want to eat. So if you see one, just pull it out. And we'll set this over here to the side. And I've chopped up a little bit of parsley. I just want the little bit of color on top of my plate. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of the parsley right in here. Is that not just an absolutely gorgeous plate?
That is yummy. Okay, so we have enough time. I want to, like, what's the appropriate, okay, Michael's coming over. He's going to join us.
I want to see it.
What's the right way to eat a mussel?
There's two ways. One, you can take it right out of the shell and just use your fork and pull it out, like so. And the other way is just to suck it out like an oyster.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that great? As they open up, they suck in all that from the vacuum inside. They suck in all that flavor and the juices. And
there's a lot of spice in this too.
Yeah. And it kind of dances on the back of the tongue. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a tap dancer in your mouth.
That's amazing. An interesting way to describe it.
So
Mussels pasta, just like a tap dancer in your mouth.
That's a unique way to put it.
Okay, like, I don't know. I think this is kind of a cheat to serve on Friday because you're supposed to be fasting and not like indulging, and this is a huge indulgence for me.
Well,
like, this is a rarity that you don't get very often.
Exactly,
so.
But having the fish and learning to do fish, and that's why over the course of Lent we're going to focus a lot more on fish. This is so clean and beautiful and pure and simple that it goes right back to enjoying the simpler things in life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is amazing. Thank you so much for showing us how to make this. Again, you can find this recipe and watch this segment on our website later this morning at KOAMnewsnow.com. And again, you can find a whole lesson on herbs and spices that was very informative that we showed earlier this morning on the KOAM Morning News on our website as well.
Have a good day.
All right, hey, what are we making next week?
Oh, you're going to love this. Tuna tartare.
Ooh.
And a seared balsamic tuna steak.
We're cooking with tuna. Looking forward to that. We'll be right back.
Been a little tumultuous for the past 2.5 years, huh? Dealing with the pandemic. That's been especially hard on teens and children. Well, now we've got those same kids that are asking questions about the war in Ukraine, and rightfully so. Laura Podesta has more on how all of us parents can approach these difficult conversations.
16-year-old Ava Felice and classmates gathered around the TV in their high school law class watching President Biden speak about the war in Ukraine.
We're like, oh my gosh, what's happening right now? Like, this is crazy. It's just another thing to be added onto the list.
The New Jersey teen says from school threats to COVID and now Ukraine, it's been a stressful time.
As a teenager, it's hard to see like what my next step will be because I don't know what the next step of the world is going to be.
Navigating how to talk to children about what's going on can be tough for parents.
What they really need to know, especially for younger kids, pre-adolescents, is that people do have wars. They have disagreements, but it's a place that is far, far away.
Cleveland Clinic pediatric psychologist Dr. Vanessa Jensen says parents should shield younger children from disturbing images. For teens, ask questions about what they know.
I want to keep you safe because you're my child, but I also want to talk to you. I want to learn from you. I want to learn with you. If they start talking about, are we going to have war here? The older the child, the more honest you can be. I hope not, but I can't guarantee you that in your lifetime, you'll never have a war.
I also think we have to trust our kids that as much as we want to shelter them, they're a lot more resilient, I think, than sometimes we realize, and a lot more knowledgeable.
I just really wish that there was more information out there that was accessible to us, or that more adults would tell us, what's going on. Our generation is stronger and more resilient and more empathetic than a lot of adults may think.
And Ava believes her generation will make this world better. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Dr. Jensen also says taking action can help children understand what's going on around them. For example, families could make a card for someone in the military, pray for the safety of Ukraine, and remember the number of humanitarian efforts, especially when it comes to food that's needed along specifically the Ukraine-Poland border. Big payday for the owner of a ticket to the debut of one of the greatest athletes ever. And oh my gosh, Tanya, I did not know this story was coming up. I kid you not. I did not know this story was in the show. An unused ticket. Folks, I'm going to peel back the curtain, but I'm not going to throw under the bus. An unused ticket to the debut game of NBA legend Michael Jordan's sold at auction Tuesday, $468,000. Which, wait, that means the Pokemon card went for $900,000. And the Jordan ticket went for $468,000.
What's up with that?
Why are you walking around with bowls of pasta and wine? I didn't completely throw under the bus. I threw pasta in there. The ticket in question was to a game between the Chicago Bulls and the Washington Bullets, for those of you that get the joke, in 1984. They were a gift to the ticket's former owner as part of a pair. And here's the kicker. He couldn't find anybody to go with, so he kept the unused ticket. It's almost like I feel bad for the guy until I found out he made $400 and some odd dollars off of it, $1,000 off of it. Bulls won 109-93. Michael Jordan's NBA debut, 16.6 rebounds, 7 assists. That's not a bad debut for anybody. Now remember, go back to a point in time where Michael Jordan was at Chapel Hill at the University of North Carolina. And there was only one person that could keep Michael Jordan from scoring. His name was Dean Smith. We'll be back right after this.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. It's back to the drawing board for a Missouri bill that would expand the state's sales tax exemption for food purchases. That's because of a change that actually increases taxes instead of cutting them. The original bill would have exempted any food that can be purchased with food stamps. Representative Shane Rodden amended the bill to only exempt taxes for foods that can be purchased with WIC. Rodden said he didn't want to exempt junk foods from the state sales tax. Now that amendment turned out to be a massive change in the bill. Instead of the bill resulting in a $144 million tax cut, it would increase taxes by $416 million. That's because Rodden's amendment would end the long-standing exemption for food purchases from the 3% general revenue sales tax. The bill is now making its way back to the Ways and Means Committee. U.S. lawmakers officially declared that they stand with Ukraine in a vote on Wednesday. The House overwhelmingly passed a symbolic resolution of support for the embattled country, 426-3. Ukraine is fending off a week-long Russian invasion. Ukrainian-born Congresswoman Victoria Spartz co-sponsored the resolution, which called for, quote, an immediate ceasefire and the full withdrawal of Russian forces from Ukrainian territory. It also presses the U.S. to send security assistance to Ukraine. The U.S. has given more than $1 billion in security assistance to the country over the past year, including a $350 million aid package last week. Well, more than 2% of Ukraine's population has fled the country as Russia makes progress in its invasion. Officials are looking into possible war crimes and fear Russia is ramping up its weaponry. Laura Podesta is at the United Nations, where France is drafting a resolution on humanitarian access.
The United Nations says 1 million refugees have fled Ukraine in the past week. Some of them ended up here in Berlin, where volunteers are offering shelter and supplies.
I had to get out from this hell, and now I'm here. I hope I'm in a safe place.
Back in Ukraine, authorities say more than 2,000 civilians have been killed.
Russian strikes are hitting schools, hospitals.
The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court announced an investigation into Russia's possible war crimes and crimes against humanity.
We're keeping the door open to a diplomatic way forward. That's going to be very hard to happen without military de-escalation.
Yesterday, the United Nations General Assembly voted to condemn Russia's actions. The U.S. ambassador says Russia is preparing to increase the brutality of its campaign.
We've seen videos of Russian forces moving exceptionally lethal weaponry into Ukraine. That includes cluster munitions and vacuum bombs, which are banned under the Geneva Convention.
Russia has been caught off guard by the might of Ukraine's resistance, like this civilian blockade, preventing troops from taking a nuclear power plant.
When history of this era is written, Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger.
But while Russian troops in some areas appear to be stalled, officials say they have captured a port in southern Ukraine. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
In a videotaped address posted to Facebook overnight, President Volodymyr Zelensky called on Ukrainians to keep up the resistance. He also said Russian soldiers are, quote, confused children who are being used by their government. And in some breaking news this morning, the port in southern Ukraine, Russia claims to have taken control of is the city of Kherson. This is according to multiple sources. Kherson, with a population of almost 300,000 people, is the first major city in Ukraine to fall. A curfew is now in effect there. Missouri lawmakers are taking action targeted at Russia as that country continues its war with Ukraine. Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe and House Majority Floor Leader Dean Plocher announced legislation that would prohibit dealings with Russia or Russian businesses. The bill would also encourage Missouri retailers to replace Russian-made or Russian-branded products with products made in Missouri and in the USA.
I think it's just more of a demonstration that what Vladimir Putin and his ideas of what he's doing with his Russian military do not match Missouri's ideas. They do not match the American way of freedom and liberty and giving these people a chance as they were living in peace and being productive citizens in Ukraine. That's what our values match their values. And these are all just demonstrations, as Dean said, Representative Plocher said, Governor lighting the dome. All of these steps are symbols to show that Missouri stands with Ukraine.
A former Nevada spelling bee champion is using her words to help others. Misha Abad has created Uplifting Deliveries, a charity that sends handmade cards to senior citizens. 14-year-old says she didn't realize how socially isolated older people were until she started volunteering at a nursing home. Now Abad has expanded her operation by partnering with a local restaurant and a nonprofit that delivers meals to seniors. She hopes to deliver 1,000 cards by the end of March. That is awesome.
1,000? That's a ton.
That's a lot of writing, yeah.
That's tremendous.
Uplifting Deliveries, that's cool.
I love the fact that as she was saying that as she grew, as she matured, she realized the isolationism with older people. That's tremendous. Tanya, I'm going to go ahead and folks, this is not just like a shameless plug. The recipe that you and Chef Anthony did.
The Mussels pasta.
I'll tie it in this way. There are multiple ways to spell mussels. Hey, Tim, can we go back to doubles so I can talk to her? Thank you. Tim, you're so great, man. I love you. Tim's our director, folks, by the way, whenever I talk about him. The recipe, because there's multiple ways to spell mussels, and that young spelling bee champion would know the differentiation because she would ask for it to be used in a sentence. Is that recipe going to be online?
Yes, we will have it later this morning. I hope we have the correct spelling of mussels now that I want to go double check.
No, that is not my point. My point being, folks, when Chef Anthony comes in, everything, number one, it's always excellent. But number two, I'm not going to lie. I'm a seafood snob, okay? I'm good with that. I'm a bread snob. I'm a seafood snob, okay? I'm comfortable with my life. That's tremendous.
Yeah.
Like, that is second to none, folks. Yeah. And really, even if your kids maybe don't like seafood, if you were to take those out of the shell and put those in the pasta, they would take one bite of it and they would just be like, Mom, Dad, I don't know what you just made, but this is excellent.
Well, and they might get a kick out of having to open them up and take them out because they're really easy to get out. So, I mean,
that's a great point.
Game. It can be fun.
Tanya, I can't agree with you more than that. Some people don't like to work for their food, and that's why some people may be averse to seafood. They're like, it's not worth the fight. Yeah, those things opened up like that. Mm-hmm. They pop right out.
Now, and these were purchased frozen from Simon Market in Pittsburgh, but you could hardly tell the difference between those and like fresh mussels as well. They were amazing. Yeah.
They were so good. And also too, I tell you what, if you want to make that indoors, maybe you want to couple that with some red meat because it'd be a wonderful day evening, even night, to strike up the grill, not only for today, but all the way through the weekend, as our temperatures are going to be in the 70s, overnight lows, high 40s, even 50s. The cold front really doesn't get us until next week, so I hope you get a chance to spend some time with the fam, and once again, strike up that grill, enjoy some of those mussels, and you can find Chef Anthony's recipe at KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. We take this time to honor this morning's four-state hero. Corporal Fred Sexton served in the United States Army through 1952 to 1954. He served in Germany and the Republic of Korea, second in active service during his 1954 service. Also a part of the U.S. 7th Division and a native of Goodman, Missouri. We thank you, this morning's four-state hero, Corporal Fred Sexton. This morning on the KOAM News Now Insta Poll and our Facebook page, celebrating birthdays. A boy, 13-year-old, just turned 13. There he is. Got a happy birthday wish from the president during the State of the Union. And I understand that First Lady Jill Biden actually sang him happy birthday. Our question for you this morning is, how do you celebrate your birthday? Right now, our poll leader is 33% of you go with a small dinner, 29% of you, and I'm with you on that. Just it's a day on the calendar. It's cool. We get a year older, hopefully a year wiser, right? And 21%, I love this. You do it with family and friends. We appreciate everybody's engagement each and every morning on the Insta Poll. MIAA tournament underway in Kansas City at historic Memorial Coliseum. Jacob Leonard there. He's got more on the action.
The Pittsburgh State women open up the MIAA Conference tournament Wednesday afternoon in Kansas City. The Gorillas hit the floor against Washburn, aiming for a spot in the tournament quarterfinals. Now, the Gorillas are the 8 seed. Washburn is the 9 seed. The winner gets Missouri Southern in the quarterfinals tomorrow. A first quarter, Macy Debley straight to the rim for the easy 2. Washburn leads early. Other end, nice footwork from Jenna Shipley. She leads Pittsburgh State with 12. Now Washburn gets the lead to 10 in the second quarter. Hunter Bentley drives and finishes. She had 12 in the first half, 20 for the game. PSU closes the gap before half. Jamie Jackson steals, then goes coast to coast. She scores 9 in the first half. Gorillas, though, down 29-26 at the break. The game came down to the fourth. Senior Julia Johnson working in the lane, but Washburn finishes. Shea Sanchez off the glass with the left. She scores 10 in the fourth. Ichabod's knocked Pitt State out today, 59-53.
It was tough. We didn't have a lot of stuff go in. It was a pretty rough game, aggressive-wise, and they let us play through it, so that's just something we got to adjust to and be able to put the ball through the hoop, and this one right here did a pretty good job at that today.
I just wanted to do what I could, just make the most of my minutes, and obviously when your season's on the line, I just want to give everything I have for the seniors, and if you're going to go out swinging. So I was just really trying to stay within myself and let it kind of come to me, and it was working, so the confidence kept going up, and I appreciate the confidence from Coach and from all my teammates for me to make big shots like that.
Washburn moves on to face Missouri Southern in the quarterfinals tomorrow afternoon, while Pittsburgh State finishes the season with a 16-13 overall record. Reporting in Kansas City, Jacob Leonard, KOAM Sports.
Missouri Southern men in the tournament tipping off in KC Friday night at 8:15. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News and Consumer Watch right after this.
Stocks rallied on Wednesday. Multiple state AGs look into TikTok's impact on the mental health of children. And is Apple introducing new products this week? Diane King Hall might just have an answer for you.
Back on Wednesday, the Dow gained 596 points. The Nasdaq added 219, and the S&P 500 rose 80. The economic implications of Russia's invasion of Ukraine are highly uncertain, according to Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. The chair of the central bank told lawmakers yesterday that interest rate hikes are still coming this year as planned in order to get inflation under control. Powell will be back on Capitol Hill today to speak before the Senate. A number of state attorneys general are looking into TikTok, investigating whether the popular social media app is harmful to children's mental health. It comes after President Biden called on Congress to pass laws regulating privacy and advertising towards kids during the State of the Union this week. A representative for TikTok says the company is looking forward to providing information on its safety measures, including restricting certain media to young users. Apple could be introducing a new iPhone and iPad next week. The company sent out invitations for its March 8th event. Various reports suggest a low-cost 5G phone and an updated iPad Air could be the highlights. Also possible, new facial recognition to unlock phones while wearing a mask.
We'll be right back.
A Wheel of Fortune puzzle had contestants scratching their heads, or perhaps scratching their cap. Jeannie Moose unravels the brain teaser.
The feathers flew on Wheel of Fortune, but where did they end up? Another feather in your what?
Another feather in your hat.
Feather in your hat was close, but things went downhill from there.
Another feather in your lap.
The other contestants weren't acing the puzzle either, and even when a P capped off the phrase, Laura Machado, a high school dean of students, blew it.
Another feather in your map.
A feather in your hat, your lap, your map? The most painful 2 minutes of Wheel of Fortune I've ever seen, tweeted one viewer. God help us all, commented actor Josh Gad, who voiced Olaf the Snowman in Frozen.
I've been impaled.
Previous Wheel of Fortune contestants have impaled themselves, deciphering Jolly Good Fellow as Jolly Goof Fellow. But this was a whole new level. Read one headline, Wheel of Fortune contestants spend 2 minutes reminding us America is in decline. Finally, the decline halted.
Another feather in your cap.
Yeah, there you go.
But give the show's host a feather in his cap for coming to the defense of his contestant. Pat Sajak pointed out Laura's first answer, feather in your hat, is how a lot of people say it. And if the feather isn't in your hat, where the heck can it be? It's true, even the old nursery rhyme is sometimes sung.
Stuck a feather in his hat.
This is one feather that sure tickled the internet. Jeannie Moose, CNN.
In your hat. Lap.
New York.
Okay, so Ron, Tanya just walked. Hang on. Did the next guy get it? Did she not solve the puzzle? Who solved the puzzle?
Eventually.
She did solve the puzzle?
He did. A guy got it. The guy got it.
Not the young woman. Okay.
No, but it took 2 minutes.
I know, but here's my thing. Like, she's already going to go under, like, she's going to go through so much ridicule. This is like where I completely flip the tables. Let's have some empathy. Let's have some dignity. Let's not just, and I understand that Jeannie Moose does entertainment reporting, but at the same point in time, I don't know. Right here, I feel for her. I'm looking at Tanya, by the way. She's over here.
I'm probably going to misspell mussels on the website, so just leave it at that.
Tanya just said she's probably going to mix up the word mussels on the website. No, you're not. And if you do, hey, how about we show a little like empathy and dignity for people? It's, sometimes, that's why I stopped using the phrase. You know what a mentor of mine told me? And I'm sorry, I should be talking to the camera. I've Tanya over here, I've got Ron over here, and I've got everybody right here. Thank you, Tanya's now going behind the camera. This is where we peel back the curtain. You know what I told somebody one time? Somebody told me one time, great words of advice. Don't use the phrase common sense, because it's different for everybody. And that's why I look at that young woman and I'm like, maybe she's obviously never heard that phrase in her life. And so it's different for her. Now that Michael's brought the show to a screeching halt right there, Tanya's cackling on her way into the hallway. 75 degrees and sunny today. Ride the 70s into the weekend. Some rain for Saturday into Sunday, followed by a cold front for next week. So please take the next 3 days and enjoy a feather in your cap.
This is no time.
Temperatures up into the 70s for the next 3 consecutive days. Pick up a little rain. It's going to be much needed by that point in time. When Saturday and Sunday roll around, the scattered rainfall is going to put us about 3 inches below average since December 1. So that'll be a little bit welcome. And remember, that's followed by a cold front. It's not going to be overwhelmingly cold next week, but it's certainly 30-degree difference from where we stand now. So find every excuse to get outside, take the dogs for a walk. Tanya had a great idea. It is perfect picnic weather.
Sounds good. Well, if you've got a back deck, you never know what's hiding under it. A Boulder, Colorado family was alerted by their dog that something was in their backyard. Now, they thought maybe it was a raccoon, but they were shocked to find a mountain lion hiding under the deck. Yikes. Colorado Parks and Wildlife helped wrangle the animal on Sunday. They say it's not a fully grown adult and weighs about 120 pounds. Big enough for me.
Wow.
CPW relocated the animal to a remote area in Larimer County. It's pretty common to see mountain lions up there, but they're moving east because we see them now here in southeast Kansas.
For those of you that are in the Crawford County area, and if you have any pictures of the infamous Black Panther, let us know. Continually follow that story to see where that certain type of animal roams. Thank you for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.